It's not our differences that divide us, but it's our inability to recognize, accept, and to celebrate those differences. Darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that. So before hitting to the main portion of my video, which talks about analysis of the novel The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison, let me tell you a little bit about myself. I'm Himani from second year of BA Honors in English, and I'll try my best to not make this video monotonous for my audience. So before dwelling into the main portion of video, which is divided into three portions. The first is introduction, second is the main body, and the third is conclusion. The introduction part consists the basic information about this novel, like what is the setting of place, setting of time, what is the major conflict which is present in this novel, and from whose point of view this novel has been dealt. In the second portion, which is main body and very important portion of this video, consists what is the plot overview of this novel, what are the major themes which are present in this novel, and a few basic information about the characters. And the last and the final portion of this video is conclusion. So without wasting much time, let's move toward the first portion of my video, that is introduction. The Bluest Eye is the first novel of Toni Morrison, which is written in New York between 1962 to 1965. The time period which is shown in the novel is 1940s, and the place of setting is Lorain, Ohio. The novel is dealt in past as it is seen by the adult Claudia. The genre of this novel is coming of age tragedy elegy. The major conflict in this novel is that Pecola needs to receive love from somebody, but her parents and the other members of her community are unable to love her because they have been damaged and thwarted in their own lives. Claudia's and Pecola's point of view are dominant in the novel, but we also see things from Charlie's, Pauline's, and other characters' point of view as well. Point of view is deliberately fragmented to give a sense of the character's experience of dislocation and to help us sympathize with multiple characters. So let's move toward the second portion, and that is plot overview. In the introduction part, we see that Pecola comes to McTeer's house to live for some days because Charlie Breedlove burned his own house. During this period, Pecola went through her first menstruation cycle. Later, all three girls, namely Pecola, Claudia, and Freda, becomes good friends. But Freda has more knowledge about everything because she is the eldest between the three as compared to other two girls. In the rising action, we saw that Pecola was raised by a few boys in the school, and Freda helped her and handled the situation very boldly. Later, Louis Jr. creates trouble for her when he calls Pecola in his house and abuses his cat in front of her, as well as locked her in the room. Later, we got to know the background stories of Charlie Breedlove and Pauline Breedlove. The story reaches to the climax when Charlie starts flirting with his daughter and rapes her. At the end, we got to know that Charlie rapes Pecola twice. In the following action, Pecola visits to Soaphead Church to possess the blue eyes. She thinks if once she got blue eyes, then her problems will be reduced, and in the perspective of people changes towards her. But she ended up giving poison to the dog and runs away, as the soaphead told her to give food to the dog, and if the behavior of dog changes, then she will blessed by the blue eyes by the god. But as she runs away, then when from that place and reaches to her house, Claudia and Freda selling the seeds. They got to know about Pecola and what his father did to her through gossips of some ladies. They got to know that Choli impregnates Pecola. Both of them buried the seed which represents the Pecola's baby, but neither baby nor seed survives. Now, the first theme of this novel is beauty versus ugliness. The society pushes the idea of beauty beyond the body's exterior, and beauty of individual is responsible for the value or lack of value in the society, community, and family. Characters like Pecola measures their self-worth based on these hypocritical ideas of beauty. This idea of beauty and ugliness dreadful effect on the lives of characters. Breadloaf family thinks they are poor because of their ugliness. Pecola herself believes that she deserves this humiliation and injustice and torture because she is ugly. But beauty comes with a power. Like Maureen Peale was more beautiful as compared to others. She can easily stop the violence which Pecola experienced by the boys at school. This power which comes along with beauty leads Pecola to believe possessing blue eyes would help her to escape from the misery which she has in her life. As life becomes more and more brutal, her obsession with blue eyes leads her to madness. And in isolation of that madness, she believes that she does in fact have blue eyes. Beauty and ugliness in and of themselves are not destructive and devastating. But the way of beauty and ugliness is defined is something what makes beauty that holds immense destructive power. The another theme of this novel is women and femininity. This novel not only shows the oppression on women through society but also from the men in their lives. This novel shows several phases of women's development. The youngest characters, Pecola, Frida, and Claudia, consist only limited views of what it means to be a woman, and that is to have sex and to be loved by a man. But the lives of Mrs. Breedlove and Grandeline shows that this innocent point of view is just a lie, which shattered after the experiences which they face after their marriage. But women were not completely authorityless. They show oppression on children through verbal assault and physical force. The way women were oppressed by men, they tried to oppress the weak and vulnerable. The prostitutes, namely China, Poland, and Miss Mary, shows obsession over men. But this comes at a price of their self-respect and the women around them. For this oppression on men, they have to exploit themselves, their femininity and sexuality. This theme, males' oppression over females, come to its climax when Cholis rapes his own daughter, Pecola. This show the complete oppression or dominance of men on women. Even this scene as well as was narrated by the perspective of Choli, and the lack of perspective of Pecola during the scene of rape demonstrates the silence effect of male oppression over women. And now the another theme of this novel is race and racism. This work of Toni Morrison, The Bluest Eye, shows the racism, but the racism which is portrayed in the novel is not involving white hatred against blacks. The Bluest Eye primarily explores the issue of racism occurring between people of color. There are very few white characters in the novel, still, the racism is at the center of the text. Most of the characters want the characteristics which white people have, like blue eyes. Race is not only defined by color of one's skin, kind of hair, but it also depends on the place of origin, socio-economic class and educational background. Novel shows that the whiteness is associated with virtue, cleanliness and value, while people who are black associated with immorality, dirtiness and worthlessness. Other characters in the novel use another black character to measure their self-worth and their own whiteness. Gwendolyn tried to separate herself and her family from appearing black by straightening her hairs. She uses different lotions for her son's skin so that his color do not get darkened as others have. Characters who are lacking in making of whiteness suffer the most because this leads to the character towards self-hatred, and this reach a climax during Pecola's rape. Because of this rape, Pecola bear the metaphorical internalization of Choli's racial self-hatred through the trauma she carries forward, and she carries her father's baby. Claudia McTeer is the narrator of parts of the novel. An independent and strong-minded 9-year-old girl, a rebel against the adults' tyranny over children and against the black community's idealization of white beauty standards. Pecola Breedlove is another character of 11 years old, and she believes that she is ugly, but she is sensitive and delicate as well. She possessively suffers the abuse of her mother, father, and classmates. Initially, she is not lonely, but in the later part of the novel, she is lonely and imaginative. Apart from Pecola, there is Charlie Breedlove, who is the father of Pecola. He is a violent and severely damaged man. In his young age, his mother left him, and he forced by white men to intercourse in front of them. He shows a negative form of freedom in the novel. Another character is Pauline Breedlove, who is the mother of Pecola, often cruel, cold, and aloof to Pecola. She only sees ugliness in her daughter, not having a happy marriage with his husband, Charlie Breedlove. She becomes a picture-perfect white family for happiness and fulfillment. Pauline Breedlove is not loved by her family, but she is a perfect servant for the white family for whom she works. Even her own family calls her Pauline, and the place where she works calls her by a pet name, that is Polly. Now the another character is Frida, who is the eldest sister of Claudia. Frida is more vulnerable to her community's equation of whiteness. She is more knowledgeable as compared to other two girls, Claudia and Pecola. Race and racism is the reality that so many of us grown up learning to how to deal with it. But if we ever hope to move past of it, it's not only the people of color to deal with it, but it's on all of us, black, white, everyone, no matter how well meaning we thought we might be, to do the honest, uncomfortable work of rooting it out. No person is born hating another person because of his color of skin or his religion or his background. People must learn how to hate. And if they can learn how to hate, they can be taught to love. For love comes more naturally to the human heart than its opposite. We must respect others' opinion, thoughts, and perceptions irrespective of his caste, religion, and his opinions. In the end, I would like to mention that I have taken references from various websites. Thank you for watching.